My wife admitted to cheating with one man. I replied, I know everything. Then I created a group chat with her and the other two men the PI found and dropped the photos. My phone immediately exploded as her entire secret life imploded in the chat. I, 42 male, have been married to my wife Andrea, 39, for 15 years. Ours was the house everyone came to for holidays. The stable one. I'm an architect. I appreciate structure, solid foundations. I thought we had that. We were that comfortable old sweater of a couple. Or so I thought. The first crack in the foundation wasn't dramatic. It was a charge on our credit card for a hotel bar, a very expensive one. On a Tuesday afternoon, she was supposed to be at a dental appointment. When I asked her about it, her answer was just a little too smooth. A last-minute client meeting. She'd forgotten to tell me. It was the way she didn't meet my eyes. It was a tell. I've learned all her tells. I'm not the type to get hysterical. I don't shout. My work is about seeing the whole picture before the first brick is laid. So I decided to get the whole picture. I hired a private investigator, a quiet man who looked more like a librarian than a detective. He was methodical. I appreciated that. For 3 weeks, the PI followed her. He compiled a file. It was thicker than I expected. The file contained photos, timestamps, locations. It turned out the Tuesday afternoon client meeting was a man named Keith. He's a colleague of hers, slick and self-satisfied in the photos. That one hurt, but I almost expected it. It was the other two that hollowed me out. Carl was the contractor who'd remodeled our kitchen last year. Big, swaggering guy. He'd left his muddy Adidas sneakers on the new rug I'd just bought, and I remember Andrea laughing it off. The photos showed them meeting at cheap motels on the edge of town. Classy. The third man was Roger. Roger is married to Megan. Megan is, or was, Andrea's best friend since college. The three of them, photos of them at a vineyard 2 hours away on a day Andrea told me she was at a work retreat. Roger's arm around my wife. The betrayal wasn't just mine anymore, it belonged to Megan too. Last night Andrea sat me down on our sofa. The one Carl had delivered. She was practicing her crying. She confessed. She told me she'd made a terrible mistake, that she'd slept with Keith, her coworker, once. A single lapse in judgment. She swore it was over and that she'd do anything to fix us. I just watched her. I let the silence hang in the air until it became heavy, uncomfortable. She started to fidget. Is that all? I asked, my voice perfectly level. Yes, she said, tears welling up. I swear on our life together. I picked up my phone. That's a shame, I said, because I know everything. Her face froze. The manufactured tears dried up instantly. What are you talking about? I didn't answer. My thumbs were busy. I created a new group chat. Participants. Me, Andrea, Keith, Carl, Roger. Group name, Truth and Reconciliation Committee. Then I opened the file the PI had sent me. I selected 10 of the most damning photos. Andrea with Keith at the hotel bar. Andrea kissing Carl in his pickup truck. Andrea and Roger holding hands, walking into a quaint bed and breakfast. I dropped them into the chat without a word of text. And then I turned my phone over on the coffee table. For a full second there was silence. Then it began. A low buzz. Then another, and another. The phone began to vibrate so violently it skittered across the wood finish. It sounded like a nest of angry hornets. Andrea stared at the vibrating black rectangle. All the color had drained from her face. She looked from the phone to me, her mouth opening and closing silently. The strategist was gone. The victim was gone. All that was left was the raw, panicked animal who had just walked into a trap it never saw coming. The buzzing didn't stop. It just got angrier. Update 1. It's been a little over 24 hours. I'm not in the house. I'm in a sterile, temporary corporate apartment I secured last week. It smells like paint and cheap air freshener, but it's quiet. The phone. God, the phone. After I dropped the photos, I let it vibrate on the table for about 30 seconds. It felt like an eternity. Andrea was paralyzed. Finally, she lunged for it, but I was faster. I picked it up. The screen was a waterfall of notifications. Carl, who the hell is this? Andrea, what is this? Keith, this is not what it looks like. This is a misunderstanding. Is that my truck? Who took that picture? I think we should talk about this privately. Who the hell are Keith and Roger? Roger, predictably, was silent. The most terrified one. Andrea tried to grab the phone from my hand, her voice a low hiss. Give it to me, Jeremy. Give it to me right now. No, I said calmly. I held up the phone so she could see the screen as a new message from Carl popped up. Andrea, answer your damn phone. Who are these other guys? I looked at her. You swore on our life together, Andrea. Which one? The one with teeth? Or the one with Carl? Or the one with Roger? She sank onto the rug, the one he'd dirtied. All the fight went out of her. She just whispered, how? The private investigator, I said. He sends his regards. I walked upstairs, my pre-packed suitcase waiting in the closet. As I came down, she was on her own phone, frantically typing. I heard her half-sobbing, half-furious voice. It's Jeremy. He knows. I don't know how he knows. I paused at the door. I've already spoken to my lawyer, Andrea. She'll be in touch. She advises you not to remove anything from the house. It's my premarital property, and thankfully, I've always been meticulous about keeping my inherited assets separate. That foundation is mine, and I can prove it. I left her there, sitting in the middle of the chaos she had built. The rest of the night was a blur of logistics. I forwarded the PI's file to my lawyer. I systematically went through every account, every password, Netflix, Amazon, Spotify. She always loved my premium account, complaining whenever an ad played on her free version. No more ad-free listening. A petty detail, I know, but it felt like taking back a small piece of my life. This morning, the real fun started. Andrea, it seems, has chosen her side. She and Carl are now presenting a united front. I received a string of texts from a number I didn't recognize. It was Carl. A lot of virtual chest pounding, threats about what he'd do if he saw me. He called me a coward for hiding behind a screen. This from a man who was sleeping with a client in cheap motels. Then came the email from Andrea. It was a masterpiece of narcissistic rage. She accused me of destroying her life, of humiliating her for no reason. She said I was being incredibly cruel and disproportionate. She demanded I delete the group chat and issue an apology to everyone for violating their privacy. She ended it with, after all we've been through, I can't believe you would throw it all away over a few small mistakes. A few small mistakes. 3 men. Years of lies. A notification from my bank popped up an hour ago. A $5,000 transfer from our joint savings to her personal account. My lawyer was prepared for that. She's already filing a motion to freeze the joint assets until the divorce is settled. I sat here, in this empty apartment, and for a moment the calm cracked. It wasn't anger, it was grief. I mourned the woman I thought I married. I mourned the 15 years of holidays and inside jokes that now feel like a beautifully constructed lie. I let myself feel it, the full weight of it. Then I took a deep breath, opened my laptop, and sent a copy of the PI's file to Megan, Roger's wife. I simply wrote, Megan, I am so sorry. You deserve to know the truth. Jeremy, the ball is in their court now. All I did was open the doors. They're the ones who have to walk through them. Update 2. It's been 3 weeks. The initial explosion has settled into a grinding war of attrition, which is exactly where my methodical nature has the advantage. The antagonists, as I've come to think of them, are not strategists. They're emotional, entitled, and sloppy. The Andrea front. Andrea is furious that the money has been locked down. Her email was followed by a call from her brand new, very aggressive lawyer. Lots of bluster about my emotional distress tactics and her client's claim to the marital home. My lawyer, a calm and collected woman named Anne, simply stated that all evidence of infidelity would be presented in discovery and that she had just filed a motion for my exclusive use and possession of the home. Given that it was my separate property and Andrea's ongoing actions had made cohabitation impossible, Andrea then tried a different tactic, love-bombing texts. I miss you. Can we please just talk? Don't let them ruin what we had. Them. As if Keith, Carl, and Roger were forces of nature that just happened to her. The house situation is the main point of contention. She refuses to leave, claiming she has rights. The motion for exclusive use will take time to work its way through the courts, but the gears are turning. In her mind, she is the victim being thrown out onto the street. In reality, she's a 39-year-old woman being asked to leave a home that doesn't belong to her after systematically betraying its owner. The Carl front. This is where things get interesting. A few days after the big reveal, I was going through old receipts for our kitchen renovation. Then I remembered my watch, a vintage Omega my father left me. It went missing during the final week of the renovation. Andrea had helped me look for it everywhere. I filed a police report for theft. I listed Carl as the only person with unsupervised access to the house during that period. It's a long shot, but it creates a paper trail. The more concrete action was regarding his invoice. I've now had Anne send Carl a formal demand letter. We are suing him in small claims court for billing fraud to the tune of $4,200. The PI file with photos of him and Andrea meeting during hours he billed me for is Exhibit A. It's not just an accusation, it's documented, time-stamped proof that he was stealing time and money from me while sleeping with my wife. The case is filed. He's been served. The Keith and Roger fronts. Keith has gone completely silent. A friend at Andrea's company told me he's been keeping his head down. He's trying to save his job. He was a symptom, not the disease. Roger, however, is a different story. The email I sent to his wife, Megan, had the intended effect. Megan called me. It was a heartbreaking conversation. She had her own suspicions for months, but my email was the undeniable proof. She confronted Roger, who, like Andrea, tried to minimize it. But the photos didn't lie. This is where the social consequences have been brutal. Megan is a pillar of their community. She quietly told a few close friends what happened. The news spread. Roger and Andrea are now pariahs. Roger, I've heard, has temporarily moved out. Megan has hired the most ruthless divorce attorney in the city. The antagonists are turning on each other. Megan told me that Roger admitted Andrea pursued him relentlessly. Andrea, in a text to a mutual friend, who immediately forwarded it to me, is now calling Carl a broke, aggressive loser. They aren't a team. They were a collection of selfish appetites, and now that the meal is over, they're just fighting over the scraps. I had a moment of weakness last week. I saw an old photo of Andrea and me on a trip to the coast. The grief hit me again, sharp and sudden. I allowed myself 10 minutes to feel that loss. Then I closed the album and reviewed the motion Anne had filed. The pain is the fuel, but the plan is the vehicle, and it's running perfectly. Final update. It's been 6 months. The divorce was finalized last Tuesday. The ink is dry. The bridge isn't just burned, the foundations have been dug up and salted. The final picture is one of natural consequences. I never orchestrated some grand master plan. I just gave their secrets a little push into the light and let gravity do the rest. The court granted my motion for exclusive use of the home 2 months ago. The look on her face when her lawyer explained she had 30 days to vacate was something I won't soon forget. Her lawyer had tried to argue for a stake in the house's value, but Anne systematically proved that every major expense was paid from my inheritance accounts, defeating the commingling claim. The financial settlement was just as clean. During discovery, we subpoenaed her credit card records. It turns out she had a supplementary card on one of my old personal accounts that she'd told me was lost years ago. She had used it to pay for the hotel with Keith and several expensive dinners with Roger. The total was just over $3,200. That amount was deducted directly from her share of the joint savings. There was no argument. The receipts were right there. She's living with Carl in a cramped apartment across town. According to the mutual friends who still speak to me, she is miserable. Her lifestyle is gone. She has to use the free version of Spotify now. She's posted a few vague things on social media about surviving narcissistic abuse. But no one is buying it. She still blames me for everything. I expect she always will. Carl, he never showed up for the small claims court date. His lawyer contacted Anne a week before and offered to settle. He paid back the full $4,200 plus my legal filing fees, on the condition that the PI report not be made public record in a court proceeding. He was terrified of the photos getting out. The theft investigation for the watch went nowhere, as expected, but the stress of the process and the hit to his wallet was punishment enough. His business is suffering. Word gets around. He was the smartest. He reached out via his lawyer, offering a formal apology. It was designed to prevent me from taking any further action. I sent a simple reply, apology accepted. I trust this will not be an issue in a professional setting moving forward. He got the message. He keeps his job, but his reputation is mud. A quiet, professional purgatory. Roger and Megan, their divorce was finalized a month before mine. It was catastrophic for him. Megan, armed with the truth, was unyielding. Roger lost his reputation, a significant portion of his assets, and his family. Megan and I have spoken a few times. We are trauma bonded, two survivors of the same shipwreck. We talk about lawyers and therapists and the strange, quiet process of rebuilding. Me, I'm still in the corporate apartment. I sold the house. It was beautiful, but it was haunted. I'm designing a new, smaller place for myself, something with clean lines, a lot of light, and a very, very solid foundation. The anger is gone. The grief has faded to a dull ache. I don't feel victorious. I just feel quiet, free. My life is orderly again. My revenge wasn't a fiery explosion. It was a demolition, a careful, methodical dismantling of a rotten structure. I found the load-bearing lies, planted the charges, and pushed the button. Then I walked away and let it collapse under the weight of its own corruption. And now I can finally start building again.